Hello and welcome to When the Smoke Clears. I am the Recovery Plug. How are you doing today? Well, I like to always get my podcast started with a moment of silence, followed by the serenity prayer for the addict who still suffers. If you would, please, a moment of silence. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Alrighty, well, let's get started. Well, I like to always get started with a little description. Usually it's a description of where I'm at and where I'm doing the podcast, but, I found this place that was in downtown in San Antonio, Texas, at the Central Library downtown, and it's kind of cool because they got this little area down here that has a they got like this. It's a booth, what it is, and it's got a it's just squared off with some paneling and noise reduction, and it's got outlets and stuff to charge your phones and everything. It's kind of cool, but what's really cool about it is that it's like you can speak and talk inside the library and nobody's going to bother you. So it's a perfect spot to do a podcast. And so I figured, I'm going to start doing a little bit more of the podcast in this little booth here. And it's kind of cool because you can do podcasts and you do videos and whatever you want to do in a little comfortable area without no interruptions and that sort of thing. And I'll start doing some of my things here, and then I'll keep doing my regular routine videos that I like to do. I always like to go to certain parts of town and use certain parts of town to have a nice little background in a sense. And I always choose a lot of little artwork stuff, or I'll somewhere that's nice along the Riverwalk, or one thing that I like doing is going out to hotels, and in hotels, in the big hotels downtown, they got these little areas or little waiting areas and stuff like that, and it's really nice scenery. So it's just something I like doing, and then I'll give a little background on where I'm at and what I'm doing. But particularly for today's segment, it's at the Central Library, and I'm in the little booth. It's like a little recording studio in a sense, but it's pretty cool. But what I liked about it is that it's soundproof, and it keeps me engaged right here with you, and you don't hear all that background noise or whatever. But at any rate, today I wanted to kind of just talk to you about the positive side of recovery and how your mind starts changing. And the reason I'm picking this kind of topic, I know it's kind of broad in a sense, but I attend a weekly peer support group that I attend, and it's through the veterans through the VA. I'm a veteran, and I'm a Desert Storm veteran, and I attend these peer support groups that I attend. They got me because of the PTSD that I was diagnosed with, and that sort of thing. So it's a positive thing for me, and it keeps me engaged in the realm of positivity and sobriety in my life. So it's just one of the many things that I do. And so I just want to elaborate a little bit more on that kind of stuff, and as an addict, we see normality, or I see normality is something that I define it as things that I have done in my life that have been repetitive, and repetitive in the sense that they're something that I've would see my parents do, or something that was engaged in the family that has always been done. And even if it was in a negative sense, if it was bad or good, it was normal because it was always happening. And it was the reason I bring this up is because one of the things that we talked about in the peer support group was the fact that how you mentally have to be prepared for your day. And it's the mentality. Let me just write that up here on the board, and it's okay. You're gonna have your mental issues. Oh, excuse me. And if you can see that, it's the mental part of your sobriety. It's the repetitive stuff, the mental stuff, and normal stuff, and let's see the new stuff. Okay, so you got 1, 2, 3, 4. We got 4 things right there. It's the mental, the repetitive, the normal, and the new. And what I mean when I put these things on the board here is the actions and the things that you do and think about on an everyday basis in recovery. So for me personally, just to give you I guess a preview of what I do normally in my everyday life, and that is in the morning I have to prepare mental. The mental starts in the morning when I get up. So it's the mental stuff, and what do I do in the mental stuff is I have to prepare myself mentally when I get up. So the first thing I do is I'll pray, and then I'll meditate, and I do a morning affirmation to myself, and this is involved in my prayer, intertwined into my meditation, and it could last anywhere from 5 minutes to 30 minutes, and but it's a way that I get myself started in a positive sense, and to remind myself where I'm going, where I've been, and what I got to do to stay where I'm at. And because before in my life, before when I was in addiction, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't pray. I wouldn't mentally prepare myself for the day. None of that kind of stuff. For me, a normal day of getting up in addiction is getting up, and the first thing that hits my mind is, okay, where's my bowl? Well, I got to hit my bowl first before I get started, before I do anything. And the girlfriend that I had at the time, because we both used, she was the same way. You know what I mean? So her thing was that every time she got up in the morning, the first thing that clicked in her mind before anything else was, where's my shit? Because I gotta inject myself with this stuff, because that's how she got her day started. And I could understand, because I needed the same thing. It was different drug, but nonetheless the same mentality that we both had. And that's what we had to do. That was priority number one as soon as you open your eyes. And so what I do today in that retrospect is I have to program my mind to mentally think differently and mentally think in a positive sense. And what am I going to do? And my affirmation for the morning is going to be whatever it is that I decide it's going to be, but it's always going to be something positive that has to do with my recovery and my sobriety. And then I'll meditate and I'll pray, and that's how I start my day off. Okay? So the next thing here is the repetitive. So that means that I got to do it over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. And sometimes I do it more than once a day. Sometimes I'll have to pray halfway through the day, or meditate halfway through the day, or just remind myself and say the affirmation again somewhere along the day. And so that's the repetitive stuff. And then the normality here is I have to understand that my normal way of thinking is getting changed, and I'm programming my mind to have a new normality, because the normality of what I was used to was just get up, do the drugs. If you didn't have the drugs, do something to get the drugs. That was just the way, that was the day. That's how my day would probably go almost throughout the day. Now, the only times that it wouldn't was because I had enough drugs to maintain for a few days. So you see where I'm going with that. So it in a sense, you have to be able to change your normality way of thinking. And then down here is the new, which is my new concept of how I'm living and how I'm thinking and what I'm going to do to maintain that. So that is a totally new way of life that I'm trying to live, and in order to stay in the world of sobriety and in the positive realm of recovery. And there's a lot of stuff that goes into that new part, because now I'm not only doing things differently every day. I do my affirmation, I do my prayer, I do my meditation, and then I'll go seek a location to do the video, to do my podcast, because for me, that is one of that's a change. That's one of the new things that I'm doing in this time of round of my sobriety. Because when I had other stints of sobriety, I lacked to be engaged in the recovery community and in my sobriety. Because, as an addict, the way an addict thinks is that you can handle it. And if you have any time under your belt sober, then you will be able to, your mindset in an addictive way is always in search of a new excuse to use. It's always in search of a new excuse to say, hey, you know what? You can manage this time. It's okay. It's okay that you drink a little bit because you're not doing the drugs anymore. Or it's okay to, maybe do just do the coke. You don't have to, you're not going to do the meth or the drinking anymore. So cocaine is okay. Or smoking a joint's all right. Or whatever it is that the addiction world brings to your mindset, you're always going to use and think of some sort of crutch to keep you engaged and involved and have one foot there and one foot out. But the thing with that is that when you have your foot in one thing and trying to put your foot in another thing, you're not balanced there. There's no balance in that. And eventually you're going to trip up and fall. So it is something that you'll have to keep doing on a repetitive basis, and you have to think mentally. You have to do that in a repetitive basis every single day. In the world of sobriety and the realm of recovery, there is no half measures in this. You will never be able to stick around in the world of sobriety doing things halfway. Half measures don't exist in our world. Half measures exist in the addictive world, because you always, whenever anything gets tough for you, or you get triggered to do something, or anytime you're in the negative realm of addiction, you are always talking yourself and thinking that, hey, you know what, it's okay. It's okay. But see, that's where the cunning and baffling part of this disease keeps you in that insanity type mentality. Because it's insane to keep doing something over and over and over that is killing you. It's insane that you're doing something over and over and over that for a fact is not good for your body or your mental health. And as an addict, we have a disease that is a neurological brain disease, and that's where it starts. And unfortunately, a lot of addicts don't get out of that, and they stay in that insane world. And that's exactly what it is. It's insane for you to continue to repetitively do something every single day that is wrong and that is killing you, but you continue to do it on a repetitive basis. In other words, it becomes normal for you to do that. That's the norm for you. And that's what we got here. The mental, repetitive, normal, and the new way of living. And you have to change that. You have to change the mental way of thinking. You have to change the repetitiveness of doing something insane that's killing you. You have to change the normality that you're used to, in the sense of your normal for you is, as an addict, is to keep using. And you have to remember that you have to be open-minded and willing and truthful to adapt to a new way of living, in the form of being sober and doing something positive to help you stay there on the daily basis. So for me, it wasn't easy by any means. I mean, you don't just automatically just say one day, hey, you know what, I'm done. It don't happen like that. You have to work at it. And for me, I was lucky, I guess, in a sense that I had a time off, in the sense of that I got thrown in jail, and then I went and I got sent to a recovery center, and months and months of this stuff was enough to start to plant that seed, to start changing my mentality, to start thinking of positive things, and thinking that I want to stay in this world of sobriety, and understanding the disease that you have, understanding the things that you have to do to stay there, is one of the things that I had to relearn and learn new things to do that, because before that was the furthest thing from my mind, and I wasn't thinking about recovering. I wasn't thinking about changing my life. I wasn't thinking about doing anything positive and being happy, because in my last stint of addiction, which was like 5 years of a relapse, in that whole time, I knew that I was doing stuff that was hurting me, and I knew that I was unhappy. I hated my life. I hated myself, because I felt that I let a lot of people down, and I let myself down. And the only way I could just, that mindset that I had, that I let myself down, I let people down, I let my family down, and it got me to this depressed and anger and isolated mode that the only thing that I wanted to do was not feel that. So the only way that I knew how to not feel that was by using the drugs, and it put me in a comfortable zone, if you will, and allowed me to just not give a shit, but knowing that I was hurting myself and just hurting people around me as well, because just because I was doing that, I mean, I still had people who loved me and who cared for me and stuff like that, and in the sense of my immediate family, and they didn't want to see me in that world, but when you're in that addiction world, there's nothing anybody could say or do to change your mind until you're prepared mentally yourself to do it. And unfortunately, like they say, you have to hit rock bottom. And sometimes in those dark, deep days of addiction that are just, because I've had days that were just so ugly and mentally that I just I couldn't stand my life, and I couldn't even stand partying anymore. I couldn't stand it. It was just like, it would give me like it was just like a nauseous feeling that I would get, but I kept doing it. You know what I mean? And that's the insanity of the addiction, that that you're just nauseous about it, you're sick, you can't stand it, but you keep doing it because mentally it makes you think that, hey, you need to do this so that you don't feel all that other bullshit. And I'm here to tell you, as a sober addict today, that understanding the disease and understanding that you have to be open-minded, you have to be willing, and you have to be truthful, and doing things to change the mentality that you got is key in moving forward into a better place. Because let me tell you, my brothers and sisters, when you do positive things and stay in the positive realm, you attract positive things and positive people, and positive things start happening for you. And that's a guarantee. I mean, the law of attraction in positive world is amazing. You know what I mean? And it's just the same thing as being in the dark realm. The further you get into the addiction in the dark world, the more dark things start happening to you. And that could be being incarcerated. That could be staying in this world of addiction, getting yourself involved with all these negative people that are doing nothing but bringing you down and doing stuff to hurt you and to, just make sure that you stay miserable, because a lot of people want to see you miserable if they're miserable. So you want to get yourself away from that environment and set these healthy boundaries for yourself, because when you start doing that, let me tell you something, that you can't do anything in this world if you're not right yourself. You know what I mean? You have to be right first in order for you to get anything else around you right, and especially in your life. Your life's not going to go nowhere if you don't get yourself right. So I'm grateful to God and my higher power that the things that have been happening to me here of late have all been positive, and if I can help in any way, shape, or form by giving out my stories and my experiences within, that's what I do. That's why I do these things, is to hopefully bring somebody else along with me to come to this world of sobriety and recovery and positivity, because my brothers and sisters, there's too many of us out there who are hurting, who are addicted, who shouldn't be out there doing that stuff. And I mean, I'm here to tell you that there's a will, there's a way, and it is amazing to be sober here today talking to you. And I just pray and hope that my words, my things that I spoke of today help you in taking that first step into this positive way of thinking. And I guess that's going to be all that I got for today. If you would please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell, send me a message. I really appreciate it. I got some few things and a couple of projects that I'm trying to launch off that's going to be a positive thing in the recovery community, in the to help some people, get out of that dark, deep hole of addiction. And I think these projects are going to be a positive thing and really help people in our community, because I've been everywhere in this city that as far as the addiction and homeless world, and it's terrible. But I know that there's a lot of good people out there in that homeless and addictive world that are good people, and they just need a little bit of help. And if I could help them in any way, shape, or form, well, that's what I'm going to do. And these projects I feel that are coming up, that I got planned out in my in part of my goals, the list of goals that I got that I'm trying to launch off. Then I think it's going to help a lot of people. And by you hitting the like button, hitting subscribing to my channel and sharing it will really, really help me. And it doesn't cost you a thing to do that. All you got to do is touch the little button there. So please help an addict out. And I guess till the next time on When the Smoke Clears, I am your recovery plug. We'll see you. Thank you.